What's going on, family? This is part three of me talking about Dave Chappelle and the real estate warfare that Dave is going through. So if you got to watch part one and part two, you heard me talking about some things going on with Dave, but I was going in a little more depth in part two. So now I'm gonna finish up on the part two, and then we're gonna go in for this part three, but it's gonna most likely lead into a part four and five because it's a lot of stuff to cover. But I want everybody to understand what's happening. So real estate warfare includes, if this is stuff I talk about in my book, Monetizing Gentrification, tjloftin.com, get your copy, Building Black Ownership. But this goes into the topics I talk about in my book with real estate warfare. So the developer that bought right next door to Dave's 39-acre personal ranch where his family lives knew that this was a major gentrification play, a wealth play. Because if you don't like a person and you know that person is trying to live in quiet, peaceful life and exclusion over here out of the way, got 39-acre ranch next door to another 100 acres of raw land, et cetera, et cetera. You want to really piss that person off, buy that vacant land next door to them. And say you're going to build a whole nother tract community or whatever it is, well, that's going to totally destroy that person's tranquility and their peace of mind. So that developer bought that land with two strategic plans in play. Double-edged sword for Dave. He knew if I buy this land, I'm going to say I'm going to do this, and Dave's going to get pissed off. I'm going to pick up the land for $110,000, but I'm going to say I'm going to develop a neighborhood on it and bring in this kind of housing, which opens the door for a lot of people that don't like Dave to move in, a lot of transgenders, etc. So now they can walk right next door and protest him and be in play with no problem. So that would open the door up for Dave, knowing they paid 110, Dave be willing to pay 5-10 million just to buy the land back, so that they can't do that. So that was one part of the play. Part two was they turn around, open it up, put the houses up, and market the houses for sale and say, hey, you don't like Dave Chappelle, this house tract is right next door. You're more than welcome to move in, and you can give Dave hell. You know what I'm saying? Now, how much is that neighborhood going to be worth? A lot of money, because you want to be marketed and hear that people are moving in right next door to Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle's your neighbor. You can walk right next door to him and get on his nerves every day. You can harass his family and be well within your rights because you live right next door. Now, if you like what I'm talking about, I'm going to talk about more in part four. So tune in to part four, family. Peace.